Culture swap?
Yeah, swap my culture. We didn't do much. Lee suggested we do The Last Starfighter. I honestly remember very little about it.
Lee, do you remember...
We were all excited.
Do you remember, Lee, why you recommended this film to us?
Basically because I wanted an excuse to watch it. I mean, like I said the last time, Jason came on and he had brought this like actual culturally heavy piece of cinema that he wanted to invite in so that he would actually explain a little of the culture he came from. I just wanted to explain a little bit of like the kind of Star Wars rip-off shit I was watching as a kid. That was basically it.
Yeah, which is a totally reasonable reason to do it.
Yeah, it very much is Star Wars meets Tron, if I'm remembering rightly.
Yeah, pretty much. One of the first films to have CG in it.
Yeah, which is impressive.
Yeah, it was. It was quite good. It looked like mid-90s music videos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which, I mean, that's like 10 years earlier. It can only be deemed impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, hideous today, but impressive when you have like that kind of backwards-looking mind.
I think even today, some of it holds up. The only bits that were really glaringly like ugly to me were the asteroids.
Oh, because you didn't get a sense of scale?
Oh no, that was me and the moon.
That was Jack.
Yeah, they used that really horrible texture looking effect over the asteroids.
Oh yeah,
it was just real yucky CGI.
Yeah, it was real money for an album.
Yeah, because like with the spaceships and stuff, like it makes sense that the CGI has that like polished look. With an asteroid, it doesn't make sense that it looks polished.
So clean.
Yeah.
I know, and when Star Wars had done such a good job making asteroids before, it kind of really does not sell you on the fact that this is a giant rock in space.
Yes.
Or like a giant lump of unrefined clay.
So that's the point, right? Like, I get that they did because I watched one of the extras and they were talking about how like they basically invented a lot of the CGI techniques for this film.
Yeah.
But I wonder why they decided to go down the CGI route instead of like the model work that obviously Star Wars did quite a lot with.
I would imagine they had a time limit or something. I know they had a deal with Atari to make a video game tie-in, so maybe they were pushing it that, game graphics are a big deal. And I guess because it centers around the idea that it's based, like this guy gets recruited by a game and then goes to space via that game.
Yeah.
That the world that they go to actually looks kind of like a game instead of like real life. But then they miss the bit about what films later on do better, like Galaxy Quest, for example.
Yeah.
Is when they go from the TV show to the real thing and it's bigger, it looks real and it's more impressive because of that, And that's where the leap in expectations come from, because people didn't play games in the 80s and think this is what space looks like. They were like, this is what a game looks like, and I guess I kind of feel like this is a ship in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really understand the thought process behind it, but I guess it was kind of maybe to be on the bandwagon of the first films that push things out that way. A lot of films did that, and Tron being one of those examples where, it kind of works because they stylize it, but it also like mostly a gibberish film. It kind of looks mostly ugly, I guess, but gets to have that title of being like the front runner in CG.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know. I'm not really sure if that was what they wanted, or they felt it was improved. But again, there's that connection. It was based on a video game, so maybe this is what you feel like you're in a video game. And Tron at least makes a little more sense because it was like actually being in a video game in the 80s. It would look as hideous as it is. So, kind of, whereas in The Last Starfighter, they go to real space and it looks like a video game, then it kind of doesn't really make any sense. But yeah, I guess synopsis of the film is a kid called Alex who lives in a cozy trailer park, hates his life and is looking for new things, and wants to move on from that sort of suffocating neighborhood, small town feel, and is going to be going to university where you can make it as big shot something. It's also really good at an arcade game in the trailer park called The Last Starfighter, where you basically you shoot a bunch of ships in that kind of classic shmup vibe for games, and that turns out to be a recruitment machine that ends up a guy called oh my god, this is the problem with doing this a little while after. What do you call it? Centurion? No.
Centauri.
Centauri.
That's him. Yep. This kind of shady alien dude comes down and says it was a recruitment program. You're actually going to be one of a Starfighter command ship in space, and we're going to fight this actual threat that was in the game. And he goes there, and he realizes he doesn't really want to do it. So he comes back to find his life's been fucked up a bit, and that he basically has no choice. And when he gets back, it turns out he's the last Starfighter, the only one left to fight this battle, and thus must go forth and defeat a guy with a terrible haircut. That's pretty much it. It's one of those classic, straightforward hero stories, which it fits the mold a little, but on the edges, kind of, as we were discussing last time, it has a lot of seedier undertones that maybe it didn't intend.
I had an interesting fact last time, and I'm going to see how well you two are paying attention. The director, Nick Castle, what was he perhaps better known for?
He was known as, I can't remember the specific name of it, but he's Michael Myers in Halloween.
Yeah,
yes,
Shape.
he's the Shape.
The Shape, that's it.
Well done, Jack.
Yeah, that did stick with me. Not that it was Nick Castle, but that the Shape.
Yeah,
that did stick with me, because then I was looking into it and like, wow, they really did credit him as the Shape. That's so weird.
Yeah.
And he turned out to be a pretty good director. I think the film looks good. It's well directed, especially on Earth when it gets to those kind of segments, like that trailer park. You get a real homely sense about it. It's quite cute,
which is very unusual compared to how like trailer parks are normally depicted.
Yeah, absolutely. This one was really it kind of undercuts the main character's wish to leave, because it seems so invitingly adorable to live there.
Yeah, he lives in this trailer park where everyone just thinks he's amazing at fixing things. They all are so invested in his ability to play play Starfighter that when he's about to get the high score, everyone runs out to see, and then he's like, "Oh, I just hate it here."
It's so true. And then it makes for one of those really cheesy, could have only have happened in the 80s scenes, where they're literally like, he can do it! He can get the high score!
Yeah.
And it's like, go, Alex, go! it's beautiful. It's really touching. But, to be fair, I wanted to talk about it because I was interested in revisiting it. Because I remember having really fond memories of it as a kid. It kind of kicked off my love of science fiction. Probably more so than Star Wars. Maybe because it was actually science fiction, I guess, where Star Wars is kind of science fantasy.
Yeah.
This had definitely more to do with like spaceships and space stations, and I guess there was a parallel between real life and space. That was basically the only thing that I was picking up on, and it had a little less of the magical elements to it. But I'm really quite fond of the film because of its the culty time period of which it was made. It's an endearing film in which this guy just excels at everything. He's got a girlfriend who's just totally into him, and lives this life where he basically has to decide, does he want to be a total legend or just a totally average cool legend at home?
Yeah.
And as much of us find in our lives, we often have that choice of being like absolute winners or just second place, which I mean is still notable, and I think it really cuts to the heart of that dilemma.
I did really like Catherine Mary Stewart as the girlfriend. I thought she was great.
Yeah, she's a totally great character. Maybe just too into him.
Yeah, I quite. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, but it raises one of like the issues with the film is that she her relationship to him is kind of, it becomes complicated the more Alex gets what he wants.
Yeah, and
the film does nothing to address it. And it's one of those kind of very dated stories in which this guy has a relationship with this girl, and they swear they're going to be together forever. because they're going to go to college together. They're going to, that they have that shared life and that teenage romance, which, as most people will know, in most cases, when these people go and they put their plans on living elsewhere, like the relationship can fall apart, or they could find out they're actually different people as they grow up together. But they've also invested everything into each other, so like there's that guilt of trying to stay together and stuff like that, and it's terrible. The film is setting people up for a fall in believing this
definitely.
is how it works, but it also then creates a dynamic where by the end of the film, Alex kind of makes the decision he's going to space and does nothing but manipulate Megs into going with him.
Yeah, I mean, she specifically doesn't want to go. She's like, I've got to look after my grandma. And the grandma's like, I mean, if you want to go, you can go. And Alex is like, yeah, you should just come, though. And she's like, I'll come.
Yeah, fuck your grandma.
Yeah, don't worry about your grandma. She's going to die anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, she's not gonna live longer you staying here. Yeah, so, and then ultimately convinces her to come with him and leave her life behind, based on basically guilt.
Yeah.
In that either she comes with him or he leaves her and moves on to his space life because he's got to go and she doesn't really have a choice. And it's terrible. It's genuinely really bad to see that, because the relationship is quite good, because they're like notably sexually interested in each other, which you don't really get a lot in not only films of that time but films of even today.
Yeah.
That it kind of feels realistic that they actually genuinely fancy each other, and more importantly, she fancies him.
Yeah, and she seems very into, doing the sex with him.
Yeah, exactly, which is like something you just do not get in films. And that's an interesting dynamic, except when they ruin it by making it seem that she's so dependent on him that she literally can't make a decision for herself without being guilted into ruining her life.
Yeah.
And going to space where, I don't know, she becomes a space mom or she's not qualified for anything. She doesn't know what she wants to do in space. It's a terrible decision. She has like a blank future just depending on this guy and being marooned from her family. It's a terrible life that she's in for, and it's kind of made all the worse that we see that she genuinely gets it.
Yeah.
Until she doesn't.
See, I thought this would be the sort of film that'd be like right up Jack Street, because it's all space and aliens and shit.
Yeah, you've sort of boiled down my interest, Liam, to the most base level they could be.
Yeah.
And then make vast assumptions on that.
Mm-hmm.
This is, like, if I had seen this film when I was growing up, I would have loved this movie, like, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's not that I hate this movie now, because I think last time we spoke about it, we all sort of, like, I had the realisation during our conversation that this film was actually better than I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy in discussion to get caught up on the details.
Yeah.
And it kind of takes away, but a lot of it is a very charming adventure with a lot of fun characters, and you don't really get that when you're trying to describe what happens in the film, because it all seems either too boring or too weirdly, perversely backwards.
Yeah.
But this film has like good comedy and stuff, and I mean the sci-fi element of it is, not the most nuanced sci-fi story ever.
Nope.
And you know me, Liam, I like my stories to be sort of confusing, and then the watcher just has to figure it all out for themselves. That's my favourite thing.
Yeah. I know.
But yeah, no, I genuinely.
That's why you're such a big fan of mumblecores, because you
exactly.
films that give you too little.
Yeah. Yeah, like I sort of agree with Jack when you said, like, I think if I'd have seen this as a kid, I would have really enjoyed it. But now,
as a jaded adult,
yeah, it's still all right. But it's only all right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, that's the thing. I'm working with the bias of the kid who, at the very least, grew up not to be one of those guys. I mean, hopefully.
Yeah.
Not to be one of those guys who, like, guilts his wife into staying with him and manipulates everyone around him, and also feels like people mean nothing to him, and grow up to be one of those selfish assholes who takes himself off on the pursuit of greater ordeals, leaving everyone he's loved in the wake of his achievements. I didn't grow up to be that guy, I don't think. So I don't think the film was as damaging as it potentially could be. But I mean, yeah, it still could be. And you kind of have to take that in.
But as well, I imagine, in the 80s when this came out, it probably wasn't really considered, like some of the elements that we now find questionable probably weren't like red flags back then.
Yeah, and that's why it's all the worse that they are today.
Yeah.
Because it's like watching one of those like old films that turns out to be accidentally racist. It's just like, oh man, I thought I liked this film, but like, I can't recommend it.
Yeah.
On the basis that people that could be affected by that kind of stuff will be affected. So.
Yeah, it does. Old films have that. It's such a weird position to be in now when you watch something that has that issue come up, where you're like, oh god, I loved this film. But with what I know now, I can look at it and go, oh, this is horribly offensive to X group of people, or just society in general. And it's sort of a weird position to be in when you're like, what do I do? Because I loved it, but now I don't because of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's frustrating that we kind of have to piece everything that we see outside like societal context and then within societal context.
Yeah.
And then like films like this, you have to take like three ways, like the context of then, the context of now, and in a bubble of its own. Like, does it stand up? And that kind of shit makes giving like scores an issue.
Yeah.
Well, I think where you basically have to get a bunch of asterisks to everything you ever say because you have to view everything you say within a certain context.
No, because I don't know if I agree with that. Because I feel like, well, yes, you can kind of consider the way it was made in the context of that. But I think when you're like giving something a score, all you're saying is this is how I felt watching it at this point in time.
True. Yeah, and that's pretty much like with big picture reviews. What I do is like, because I don't believe in scores.
Yeah.
I don't think they add anything to critical discourse or anything. It's just a fucking letter or a number.
Yeah.
But I understand that people enjoy them, so I think of them as entertainment.
Yeah.
And just the general vibe summarized. So that's where that kind of comes into play. So I totally agree there. But when it comes to like discourse, there's so much asterisks involved. That kind of frustrates me.
Yeah.
Because then there's so much to preemptively explain before you give a score, so that people don't think you're giving A+ to racism. That would be bad. Like, it's all well and good to be entertaining and give off a general vibe until you look like you're supporting something you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still going to score this, though, just so everyone's aware.
Oh, absolutely. 5 out of 5. Women know their place.
I really liked the Beta Alex, that element to it. I thought that was very unique.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, how do I describe it to anyone that maybe... Oh, we should have said there'd be spoilers.
Nah.
That's fine. So yeah, how to describe the Beta Alex stuff to anyone whose maybe memory is a bit rusty. When, like, real Alex gets taken away, they kind of replace him with this weird robot version of him that tries to essentially assume his life. And that reminds me, there was that one scene that we were discussing before where you see him morphing kind of into Alex's
shape.
Yeah,
which is horrifying.
It's total nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Which I believe,
I was gonna say, didn't you block that out of your memory, Lee?
Yeah, I mean, like, literally had no idea that was in the film, and so when it happened, I was super surprised on this rewatch. Because, like, what the fuck is this? Was this in the original cut that I watched? And clearly, it was so scarring, I had to remove it from my memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's terrifying. It's like it's just goop with eyes and a face.
Oh yeah,
and
it's hideous.
And lots of beeping and bubbling, and like a respirator. It's not cool.
I can't remember many other. Like, I liked. How do you say this guy's name? Hang on. Dan O'Herlihy.
Yeah, I can't remember how to pronounce it himself, but he plays Grigg.
Yeah,
Griggs, is it?
Grigg, yeah. And he's like hidden behind a lot of makeup, but he still manages to be very emotive.
Yeah, it's essentially like a space iguana guy.
Yeah.
But he has this great. like motion about him, where he's very pointedly making movements, like almost kind of robotically, but that means he's emphasizing what he does.
Yeah.
And then he's got this fucking wonderful laugh, like this choky, hearty, like inward wheeze of a laugh, and it's like so charming. And like it really paints the picture of like a character who just has a lot to do. And plus, besides that, he's characterized by like this just will to die in the heat of glory.
Yeah.
Which is just fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he had
some
really
of the
good
best comedy bits.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean like that. Those are kind of like the redeeming factors of the film. Him and Centauri, who's like the seedy con man trying to win one over the government by selling them starfighters.
Yeah,
that he recruits on the sly, and like without their permission, and then try to turn to make a quick buck. That's fucking hilarious.
He's kind of like a cool twist on the like wise mentor character, because he like instead of being the like traditional wise mentor that's all like, let me teach you how to do this, he's just a scam artist effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, you'll be fine.
Yeah, like
if you ruin this for me, I will get you.
Like one of the best sort of scenes with him is at the end when you think he's been killed, and then he comes back in this white robe, and it's all very dramatic, and then he just leans in to Alex and is like, "Yeah, go with it."
Yeah.
So we've got a good thing going here.
Yeah,
let's keep it up. Exactly. And when you say it like that with the white robe, it does feel like a very like parody of Obi-Wan.
Yes.
Like it feels like it just like he took that role and made sure it was taking the piss out of it.
Well, that whole scene reminded me of like the medal scene at the end of A New Hope.
Yeah, that's
definitely.
Right.
I wonder.
Except cold and distant and weird.
Yeah, I wonder if so that issue that we were saying before with the girlfriend kind of being manipulated. A potential fix that they could have considered doing that I think would have been interesting is if they'd had Alex kind of fall for one of the like space chicks, like one of that weird. Because she had a few of the. There was definitely one of the space girls up there seemed to take a bit of a liking to him.
Yeah, right.
That I thought would play out. So have him get off with her, and have Maggie go off with Beta Alex.
I mean, that would also be problematic though, Liam, in that Beta Alex is assuming someone else's personality.
But have him be like, by the way, I'm assuming Alex, and then she's like, where is he? He's like, he's not coming back. She's like, cool.
Instead of fixing the problem, that starts to introduce like rape discourse into it. Which makes a huge vacuum of an issue within what was a more. I mean, it's a sinister under issue.
Well, he's the Beta Alex.
Then there's this whole like, oh my god, this guy is trying to fit in with this guy's life, but isn't him, and goes ahead with like.
Yeah, but
this guy's girlfriend under false pretenses.
The Beta Alex deliberately tries to like stop her sexual advances.
Yeah,
so
I know, which is good.
Yeah,
They dodged that bullet really well.
Yeah, so then when he's like, by the way, I'm just a robot, then it's back to her to make that decision of if she wants to stick with it or not.
I don't know, Liam. I think you've just made The Last Starfighter even more problematic than it was.
Yeah,
potentially.
I don't know. I don't see the ending being that they go like, one's even each. Let's go home.
But if anything, so playing back into this like idea of like adolescent fantasy that this film tries to tick all the boxes for, I think banging a space chick would be up there.
Yeah, I guess. But then it doesn't do anything to the fact that we're supposed to like Alex.
No,
if he's like this seedy. Everybody loves him womanizer.
But maybe it could be like one of those accidental things, where she just keeps throwing herself at him, and he's just like, "Well, what's a boy to do?"
Fucks her. I mean,
yeah, and then afterwards he could be like, "Oh, well, that was good, but I was just thinking about Maggie the whole time." So
that makes it okay.
There we go.
I guess I don't. I mean, they would have to commit. It would have to be like he was more of a Han Solo type. So then his girlfriend doesn't really know where she stands, and then they would have to play down the romance angle to the point where she's kind of like, "Oh, won't we get back together?" And he's like, "Fuck no, I'm fucking going to space."
Yeah, but
and then I guess he could, then you get over the whole manipulative aspect of the story by the fact that he just like. He doesn't give a shit at all.
He can be like, no.
He turns back up on Earth and he's like, look, I was flying a spaceship. And everyone's like, whoa. And Maggie's like, do I get to come to space? And he just goes, no. I'm going with Greg.
He goes, no, your gran needs someone to look after her.
Yeah. Come on, Maggie. Get your head out your ass.
That does sound like a Han Solo kind of thing to do. Like, no, you've got your grandma. I mean, think of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. But then it's a totally different character. It's not like
Yeah, we're basically changing the film.
People shouldn't like wish fulfillment want to be a Han Solo type because Han Solo is a bit of a dick.
Yeah, but I think out of all of the characters in Star Wars, he is the most entitled. Like, no one really wants to be the whiny farm boy.
But he's the kind of template where you project yourself into his position. You want to be the guy who gets the lightsaber and fights the bad guys and shit like that. You don't want to be the guy who fucks off for half the film, only thinking about himself and money, and then comes back with a change of heart with his best friend. Like it kind of feels like there's a little too much to emphasize there. You can't really project yourself onto that character so much. Although he can be your favorite. And in most cases probably is.
Yeah.
But I don't think people go like, oh god, I wish I were, conflicted about my loyalty.
No, I always projected like myself onto C-3PO, and I always thought of Jack as like the R2-D2.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate.
Yeah.
That is pretty accurate. Like, R2-D2's keeping you in line, and then you're just complaining about it.
Yeah, basically.
I think that's your best analogy so far, Liam.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it's no Star Wars.
No,
it's kind of more like a Masters of the Universe kind of thing.
I'm
charmingly flawed.
I'm surprised they didn't do more with like the alien creatures. Like, there's one scene where you see a few weird alien creatures at like a briefing.
Yeah,
but that's kind of like, besides Grig, that's pretty much it. Like, I get that
sets them up to kill them all.
Yeah, I get it's the Last Starfighter, but I feel like it doesn't do a very good job of establishing the stakes.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, no, it is all a little bit. There's all these elements that you're just sort of told exist, like the energy wall that's protecting our part of the universe. They sort of exist, but there's no explanation for them. They just are there.
And it just comes up, like, oh, there's an energy wall, and then you see the energy wall, and then it's that, and then it's over, and you're through it, and nobody cares.
Yeah, it's also really easy to get through it. You apparently just shine a laser on it, and it goes.
That's incredible memory, because I blanked out that little segment of the
I don't know why I remember it.
The energy wall, yeah. I guess it's very similar to like those old like kids stories I used to read, where like, you've been chosen to be on a space mission, and then you go up there and it's like, watch out for the obstacle of today, and then you go through it, and then like, oh no, watch out, yeah, it's spaceships coming at us. It feels like it just does one of those, like, it's that kind of straightforward fantasy where it doesn't really give a shit about establishing anything about its universe.
Yeah,
it just wants to go like, it's really about how this guy deals with the idea that there are stakes more than there are real stakes to be had. And I guess that requires a lot of you being in the right mindset going into watching the film, which makes it very good to watch as a kid, because you don't really know what stakes are.
Yeah,
you're just like, Starfighter.
So you project yourself onto that spaceship scenario. But if you're anybody, you'd be like, why do I give a shit what happens to this kid? It's not going to happen to me. I'm Lee, so I have my own identity now. I'm not some kid. I'm not some asshole space fighter. I never will be. I've grown up. Damn it. Yeah, it kind of falls apart.
Yeah, slightly.
Yeah. I'm sure we had more to say about it last time, and I'm just trying to remember what we're missing. I think the villain wasn't very strong.
No.
Him
and his fake Klingons.
Yeah. He's just sort of put in so that they have a villain.
Yes. And I think
again,
they
it's
kind
another
of
weird
tried
thing
to leave it open for a sequel as well.
Oh, it definitely felt that way with
definitely.
him escaping at the end.
Yeah.
And then going back out to space, and the fact that Sin's like, nudge, nudge, let's hold on to this, try to do our best. Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if it was even a financial failure. I guess it just wasn't Star Wars successful, and they were like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
But I mean, they established that the main bad guy is the son of the guy who runs the Starfighter command, but like, they never do anything with it. And
there's a lot of information in this film that just
is there to be there.
It just doesn't feel like there's a consequence to knowing it.
It's almost like they were putting it in to convince us that there was more story there. Like,
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they've got that race of aliens, and he treads on a tentacle, and they're like, "Whoa, be careful," because these guys, whoa, they get real angry real quick. And you're like, okay, so you've established that
And then
it
we
makes
never
it
see
seem
that
like
alien
there's
again.
backstory to the aliens,
Yeah.
but is there?
No. The thing is,
But-
it kind of made me think a little bit of Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension.
Yep.
Except I feel like that did a much better job of giving you this information that built this world around the main story in a way where that the information did feel somewhat relevant, even though it really wasn't.
It's also,
Yeah, right.
Buckaroo Banzai sort of, I feel, is very deliberate in the way it does it. Like, it is deliberately setting up, it's all part of it, that there's this whole thing that you don't know, and you don't really understand where the blue band, whatever, people come from, and all that stuff. Like, Buckaroo does it on purpose to make you feel weird, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas this film,
Yeah,
definitely doesn't feel like they were sitting there going, we should leave out all the backstory.
Yeah, intentionally disorient the audience.
Yeah.
That's a good way to immerse them in this very straightforward hero story.
I mean, I guess you could sort of view it as it is sort of accurate in that if we're following the story from Alex's perspective, which we are, he is just dragged into this space war, and he doesn't get told the backstory. Like, no one at any point sits down and goes, right, Alex, here's what's happening, here's why we're doing it. They're just like, you could do this, we need you to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. That makes sense. That kind of fits the vibe.
Yeah.
Or, insert yourself into this fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Kind of like you don't see, like, behind the scenes things that happen in Harry Potter. Because if it did, it would break the fact that you're supposed to be with Harry Potter during most of
exactly.
it. So you don't see, like, Snape and Dumbledore having a conversation without Harry being aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it would kind of break that.
I have a question for both of you. What game would you be the last Starfighter at? Like, what game are you so good at that if the world was ending and they needed you to essentially live out that game in real life, what game would that be for you both?
No, I mean, when you say that, does it mean that when you beat the game, you have to be good at the real life version of that game, or can you just be good at the game?
So you're good at the game.
Equivalent?
You're good at the game, and then we'll figure out what the real life version of that game would be.
Oh, see, mine's problematic in that the game I've probably put the most hours into, and I'm not the best at, but it's the game I'm best at in my repertoire of games.
Yeah.
Is Kerbal Space Program, which I think means that if that were to happen, I would be required to build rocket ships, and I can't do that in real life.
But I mean, I thought this part of the charm of Kerbal is that you kind of had to build rocket ships.
That's true.
So, I mean,
if they were just like,
maybe
hey,
that's
here are some
the
engines.
mission. Like, can't fuck around. That's your
Could we
quest.
explain what that game is for any listeners, not co-hosts, just listeners who maybe don't know what that is?
Kerbal Space Program is a game where you literally build spaceships, like rocket ships that have to take off from the planet Kerbal and get into space. It's pretty scientifically accurate to how like getting to space works.
Yeah.
So that was like its big selling point, is it's realistic, even though you're using small green aliens on their weird planet.
Okay.
But like, orbits work the way orbits actually work, and you can do things like gravity assists, which is when you use something that's moving in space to like give yourself a little bit extra speed effectively.
Okay.
But like it's a really accurate space game where you build spaceships, and it's really fun.
So the real life
That's what
version of
summary-
that would be you just building lots of spaceships.
Yeah, it would effectively be like NASA being like, all of our rocket scientists have been killed. We need you to make a spaceship.
Cool.
Which, I mean, yeah, it'd be funny. I mean, and hopefully then you would also get to try it out on like Minion-esque characters.
Yeah,
So
see,
you don't
it's
feel
a lot
too
less
bad
fun
about
if
killing,
it's real
you know?
people. If they're like,
exactly.
yeah, cool, we've got a pilot, and I'm like, I don't think this will work. I've just put a bunch of rockets together.
Fuck. I have no idea. Like, I would love to say games that I actually enjoy, love playing,
Yeah.
like Sonic. I love Sonic games, but then I'm pretty sure I'm not good at Sonic games. I just enjoy them. I guess like getting those 3 platinums in that latest Crash Bandicoot thing probably meant I'm good at Crash Bandicoot.
Oh yeah, because that is a ball ache.
Yeah, so I guess Crash Bandicoot? So what, then in my real life I have to break a lot of boxes and take down a scientist on a skate hoverboard thing?
Yeah. And like lots of real
using my
precise
freakish
jumping.
animal mutant. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, maybe I could do it. I don't see why. I mean, dauntingly jumping over things.
Yeah.
I didn't die as much as people. I didn't game over on the first Crash Bandicoot like a million people did. So I mean,
Oh, that's
I
pretty
guess there's
impressive. I
hope.
did.
Yeah. So like, I guess I could pull it off. I did game over on the second Crash Bandicoot though, so I mean, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
I don't know. What would you do, lame?
I'm not very good at games is the issue. Like, I'll put a lot of time into them, but that's because I'm not very good at them.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
like
which
a
one are you
text
best at?
adventure.
I'm quite good at like Free Cell Solitaire.
Sweet. So like you have to gamble. You have to gamble in a game that is almost entirely luck for the saving the universe. You know, like literally sometimes you get dealt a bad hand, and unless you like deal it out in exactly the right solution,
No, but
you can't go back, and it's fucked.
but the beauty of Free Cell, right, is that
Oh,
nearly
Free Cell, you can
nearly
fuck around
all of
more,
them
yeah.
do actually have a solution. There's a few that don't,
Yeah,
but they nearly all do.
I guess there's more options. So yeah, then you just gotta find that solution for the fate of the
Yeah,
galaxy.
it's like a lot of
with
trial and
with
error.
no time limit and an undo button.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm quite good at that, I think. Other than
High
that,
stakes stuff.
I don't know, like World of Warcraft I was okay at.
Until you meet somebody who's actually okay at World of Warcraft, and then you feel like shit.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue. That's the kind of thing I always find with games is there's always people that are like infinitely better than me at all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's depressing.
Yeah.
Try not to think about it. Try to just be good, happy, enjoy what I do, and not think that I have to actually like be a professional at it.
Yeah, exactly. As long as I can get all my trophies, I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to prove shit about my Crash Bandicoot skills, and my cool, hip gamer score cred is just total coincidence and doesn't have to impress anybody, right?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like the thing is, like I like my little gamer score, but I don't, shout about it or anything. And the issue I have is I don't really have anyone on my friends list that also collects trophies. So I've got. So Dan Palmer is probably the guy on my friends list who has the most trophies, but he doesn't actively seek them out. So
Yeah, he's not like you.
no, so he's just been playing like PlayStation games for a long time, so he's amassed
Well, no,
them out.
he is also a trophy whore.
Yeah, but he's not to the extent I am.
No, so I think he stops. He's like, unlike you, he'll stop when he's bored with it. But he's still, when he's playing a game, he'll try and get the trophies.
Yeah, so he's like the one I'm trying to compete with, but I've nearly caught up with him now, and because I know he's not actively like hunting them down and competing either, it takes a lot of the fun out of it.
And once you're past that point,
Yeah.
then there's no one left to compete with. Well, then you can compete with me. I do it properly. So
Yeah, but I imagine you've probably got loads.
yeah, probably. I don't know. I have no point of comparison on this. Again, I have almost the same problem. The only thing is, I do have Lawrence from Big Picture Reviews. We do have a sort of semi-competitive thing, but it's also unfair because I just have way more games than he does, and he's better at them, better at getting trophies.
Okay.
But it feels unfair because then I just get a new game
Yeah.
from like PS Plus, and then I play half of it and get half the trophies, and then I look good.
See,
Overall.
I can't do that. Like, if I play a game,
Yeah.
I have to like really. There's a few games where I'm like, I can't be asked to continue with this, or like I might start a game and then just be like, nah, this ain't for me.
Nah, not worth
But
it. That happens quite a bit.
Yeah, I can't play a game and just be like, I'm just gonna get as many as I can before moving on. I have to. I'm all or nothing. That's why I have so many DVDs.
What was the name of that fallacy again, Jack?
Shit. How have I forgotten it?
In for a penny, in for a pound fallacy.
Sunk costs fallacy, I think.
Sunken costs. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I really have to remember that because it really does describe Liam's condition.
Yeah. What would we give the Last Starfighter out of 5?
I think I'd give it a solid 3, I think.
I'd agree with that. 3 out of 5 from me as well.
Yeah, I'd say maybe 3.5 just because, like, I'll bitch and moan about it when I talk about it, but, like, when I actually watch it, I'm just so enamored that I really do enjoy the adventure.
Yeah.
But, and as a kid, it would have been, like, a solid 5. It meant the world to me that this film existed. As an adult, it does get some notable marks off for being vague.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I still laugh my ass off at the jokes, and I still watched it without really losing interest from start to finish. So, I mean, that's more than I can say about half the fucking films I'm forced to watch due to this critic position thing that I do.
Yeah. We had a tweet about The Last Starfighter from Mark, who said, "Hi Nerd on Nerd. Liam Underwood asked me to tweet about The Last Starfighter. My job here is done." So,
Well,
thanks, Mark.
he did exactly what he was requested.
Yeah,
so, I
but
mean,
the thing is,
bravo.
The thing is, I had a feeling it would be the sort of film that maybe not many people had seen. I knew that he had seen it, and I really wanted to get like another opinion, because I wasn't sure if he'd also seen it when he was younger, so had that like nostalgia love for it. So I wanted to see what he had to say with more detail than what we got there, which was frankly pathetic.
I liked it. I thought it was a good joke.
Well, we'll never know. Did he like it? Did he love it? Did he hate it? Well, I mean...
Tweet us again, Mark, and
Yeah.
we'll read it out next time.
Or if we ever have Mark
housekeeping.
guest, we can put him on the spot.
Yeah. Back against the wall. Tell us, did you like The Last Starfighter?
There we go.
We need to know.
Yeah, we need to know.
Next time, Jack.
Yep.
What's happening next time?
Next time, Liam, we've got the guys from the Zack Attack podcast, who you've guested on their show, so they're coming on ours.
Yeah.
Joe and Joey.
Yeah.
And we are doing, Liam...
We Are Your Friends, which is a Zac
That's
Efron
the
film.
one.
Sweet.
Directed by Max Joseph, if you know who he is.
Nope.
I do not.
Have you ever seen the TV show Catfish?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So, you know the grey-haired guy that basically films everything?
Yeah, is it him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the director of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Very good.
Oh, fair enough.
So
Good for him.
I'm really excited to watch this again. It's been a while since I last saw it, and it's Zac Efron. He's delightful in it.
I'm looking forward to it. Like, not being there, but like listening to you just gush.
Have you
again
seen?
For a while.
Have you seen We Are Your Friends, Lee?
No, not at all.
Oh, it's a recommendation.
Is it? But that you spoiled it. I don't know. But we were getting a little more nuanced than just a thumbs up.
Well, I mean, do you?
I'm worried
What?
because it's Liam who loves Zac Efron, and it's two guys who have a podcast dedicated to Zac Efron. So I'm scared that I'm not going to like it, and that they're all going to be angry at me.
Okay, Jack. Let me ask you this: do you like electronic dance music?
Yeah, I do actually.
You're gonna love it.
Oh, I've heard of this. It's the DJ
yeah,
film.
it is.
I'd heard really good things about it actually.
Oh, okay.
When it came out, although it did terribly at the box office,
Oh.
wasn't that the deal? But yeah, I heard it was actually pretty good. So I am interested. I might watch that.
There we go then.
Fair enough.
So that's next time. This time we had Lee join us. Thank you very much, Lee.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks,
for
Lee.
having me, guys. Jeez,
The-
and for doing it twice. I mean, it's been wonderful.
let the listeners know where they can find you, what you're up to, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, sure. If you want to actually contact me, I'm at Big Pick Reviews on Twitter. The website that I write for and edit is bigpicturereviews.co.uk. We've got a number of critics who all give in their specific style and take on films. We kind of culminate it all in one place. And of course, you can get me at the Atlantic Screen Connection podcast with previous guest and my co-host Jason Michael. We kind of take like in-depth insights into films, try to interpret how the many ways in which you can read films, and try to expand people's viewpoint on what can be achieved through films by just looking at it from certain angles.
Yeah.
So there's definitely we love making the show. We've had Jack and Lim on before doing a bumper Godzilla / Kong Skull Island episode that I really enjoyed making, and would if you want a gateway drug as fans of this show, you can listen to that one. And if you want to see something a little more hardcore, there's shit like Under the Skin, and we have an episode coming out soon. What's the film called? Jesus, Upstream Color. These are like hardcore arty films, but we've also done like Fate of the Furious and Doctor Strange and shit like that. So there's a wide spectrum of shit that we've covered, and hopefully you should give that a look. We're on SoundCloud and iTunes, and you can follow me or Jason on Twitter. Jason's at AtlanticSC. So tune in. Hopefully, we'll get these guys back on when the next Kong or Godzilla film comes out, and then we'll we'll totally disagree once again on what constitutes good monster movies.
Most likely.
yeah.
See, I would say, like, with your podcast, it's for anyone that listens to Nerd on Nerd who likes Culture Swap. Imagine just Culture Swap, but with people that have actually bothered to research and really think about what it is they're watching.
Oh, well, that's lovely.
I feel that's accurate.
I mean, it might blow out of proportion how much we research it. I mean, maybe
I'm
not.
going to be honest, it's a lot more
anything
than
more
us.
than zero is more than what we do.
Yeah, I mean, I did teach myself how to, like, I read up on Freudian discourse just to talk about Fate of the Furious.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of does give a little
It's
bit
a lot of penis, isn't
insight
it?
into how much, yeah, there's so much.
A lot of
I
penis.
mean, especially with fucking Dom Toretto, he, like, gets into, like, a gimp suit with a chainsaw. I mean, I mean, cars are penis.
Yeah.
In that world. So I mean, there's so much to read there. So yeah, listen to that episode if you want
It probably
a discussion about penis.
It probably is my favourite episode that you guys have done, to be honest.
Oh, that's good.
And
We're doing a one.
That's including
very
the one
similar-
that we guested on.
That's kind of sad. I guess, I mean, we're doing one very like it soon, hopefully, for the film Geostorm that's coming out.
Okay.
Though I don't know if we could still go ahead with it since this is a year fraught with fucking terrifying hurricanes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know if we can maybe make light of that.
Yeah, that
in
film
the year
is
when
going to
that
come out
happens.
at a weird time.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to make all the money in the world now.
Oh, true, yeah.
Where we had originally planned just to take the piss out of it, and now we have to actually think about maybe not doing that, which is then what's the point? And then I just maybe not want to watch the film at all. We'll see how it goes, but if we do an episode on it, you can guarantee it'll be a piss take. So I mean, tune in for that.
And Jack, where can people find us on the old social medias?
They can find us at Nerd on Nerd on Twitter. They can go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Nerd on Nerd pod with dashes.
Hang on, I can find out if you want.
Why do we not know our own Facebook page?
Because we're shit at this.
No, it's Nerd on Nerd pod, all one word.
Yeah, obviously.
So facebook.com/Nerd on Nerd pod, all one word.
Yeah.
They can email us at nerdonnerdpod@gmail.com. They can go and watch this episode on YouTube if they're not already there, or snippets of episodes, and that's, you search Nerd on Nerd, all one word on YouTube, and we come up.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
And then, if you want to, you can rate us on iTunes, and it turns out, Liam, what that does is it bumps us up the iTunes ratings,
Okay.
and that means more people will find us, so that's why we want people to give us ratings.
But no one ever does.
We found it out, we solved it, Lee, we've solved the riddle.
There's always been a mystery to me. That's why I've never engaged with the idea. Like,
Yeah,
and
no,
then go out of your way to like this one program that if you rate us arbitrarily does something that I have never been able to decide what or figure out what or where.
Exactly. Yeah, we were in that boat for so many episodes where we were just like, we don't know what it does, but people asked to do it. But it turns out if you get high enough ratings, iTunes put you on their little charts, and then people find us.
Well, no one's
Sweet.
rating us, so
Yeah, so we're probably not going to get on the iTunes charts.
I'll do it. I'll do it for you guys. I mean, now that I'm here and we've discovered this together, I feel like I kind of have to. A little bit of blackmailing, that you bring it up in front of somebody and go like, oh god, for the lack of ratings, wow. If only there were a third party present who would be able to change that. Oh my god.
can we rate it ourselves?
I'm sure you can.
Yeah, we
I
probably
think
can,
it counts.
We should probably do that then.
Well, I feel like, it's nice that you're offering to do it, Lee, but I do think 3 ratings might not get us onto those charts, but...
Yeah, but it might get you onto like a tier where like
maybe.
weirdos hover around like the bottom end.
We're like page 50.
like hover-
Page 50
Yeah,
of
and
the
like,
comedy,
whoa,
I guess, section.
Yeah, and they see nerd on nerd and like white on black, and they're like, "Whoa, this is it."
But yeah, I think those are
So
all the
yeah,
ways.
that's what's going to happen. I believe in this. That's why I will definitely say that people should do the same on our show.
Yep, and we will, because if you
that's
do
a
it
thing
for
that's
us, we
gonna
sort
happen.
of have to do it for you.
I think I've already done it.
Shit, it's just me then. Fuck.
Yeah, but you're shit at all this sort of stuff, Jack.
I am.
Like, I asked you to arrange this whole thing with Lee, like, after everything went wrong, and it got to yesterday when I saw that on Twitter Lee sent a message being like, well, I assume we're not recording today then, and I just facepalmed and was like, this is why I don't leave things to Jack to organise.
It
you could see me, you could see my shrug, because I don't understand why I'm like it either.
It worked out really well for me. I like have fucked up your scheduling already by having you record the same thing twice. But B, like I got to watch Strictly Come Dancing last night.
So there you go.
Well, that's good.
It really worked out.
But yeah, Jack, the reason why you shouldn't be shrugging about it is because you don't want to like mess people who are willing to give up their own free time for a podcast that.
Oh no, I wasn't shrugging to be like, what's the issue? I was shrugging, being like, I don't know why I'm like it. I'm not proud of it.
Right, got you. To me, I was just imagining it very dismissive, like I think.
Oh no. It was very much I don't know what's wrong with me.
Well, we've already gone 3 hours. Let's not go another 3. Goodbye.
Final thoughts, Liam.
Those were my final thoughts, Jack.
Oh, okay. Bye.